Hey, welcome to our class of Tuesday Night Beer School with me, Chad of Chad's Beer Reviews, and
Christina.
All right, so we are continuing our All-American Wild Ale Month category 28, and we are on the second one, 28B, Mixed-Fermentation Sour Beer, intended for beer fermented with any combination of sac, lacto, PDO, and Brett, or additional yeast or bacteria, with or without oak aging. All right, so sac and Brett. Sac is Saccharomyces, standard brewer's yeast. Brett is brettanomyces, the wild yeast, which we did last class with the Brett beer.
Mm-hmm.
And lacto and PDO are bacteria, like the same bacteria that's in yogurt. All right, so overall impression, a sour and funky version. It should say sour and or funky version of a base style of beer. Comments, the base beer style becomes less relevant in this style because the various yeast and bacteria tend to dominate the profile. Bitterness is often reserved since bitter and sour flavors clash on the palate. Inappropriate characteristics include diacetyl, it's the buttery, solvent, ropey, or viscous texture and heavy oxidation. History, modern American craft interpretations of Belgian sour ales or experimentations inspired by Belgian sour ales. Characters and ingredients, virtually any style of beer, usually fermented by some combination of lacto, PDO, yeah, we saw that, can also be a blend of styles. Water barrel aging is very common but not required. If present, should not be a primary or dominant flavor. That's why we save the other beer for the other class. Style comparison, a sour and funky version of, yeah, we just said that. Entry instructions, yeah. So commercial examples, we have one that's on here. I'm actually a little surprised it's on here because it doesn't really have a base style. If you want to show the folks, this is Le Petit Prince from Jester King, farmhouse table beer, but it is sour.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a whopping 2.9 ABV.
That's it?
Yeah.
Wow.
We've both had this beer before.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to tell you what we think of it, but it's the only beer I could get that would fit this class, so let's get to pouring. All right, so we've got our little prince here in our little glasses. That's appropriate. We'll come back to the appearance in a minute. So, as always, we start with aroma. So let's give this thing a whiff. You notice anything similar to the last one?
The bread smell?
I think, yeah, there is. I think there's a little bit of Brett here. I'm getting like that. Remember, it's like Brett to me. Well, to me, it's always like green pear, green apple, green grape.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very light though compared to the last one, obviously.
And it seems, it's like it has kind of a suggestion of sourness, but it's kind of smells like Brett from Artifact, like his kettle sour beers.
Yeah.
Because this is, as far as I know, I believe this is a kettle sour. It's not.
It's getting a little bit of a cracker smell.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. It's that farmhouse character.
Oh, that's right.
We're going to have to, we got to do saison, because that's one of my favorite styles. Because the saison style, especially the actual saison yeast, has this spicy, rustic character.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm definitely getting that here. So it kind of has this countryside kind of smell to it.
Yeah, it does.
And then can you tell, if I was giving this to you blind, and you took a whiff, would you think oh, this is going to be sour, or this is bready?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's see what the specs say for that. Aroma, variable by base style. The contribution of non-sac, they call it sac.
Sac.
Non-sac microbes should be noticeable to strong and often contribute a sour and funky note, wild note. Best examples will display a range of aromatics rather than a single dominant character. The aroma should be inviting, not harsh or unpleasant. Okay, so it does say noticeable to strong. So I'd say it's more than noticeable, but I don't know if I'd go as far as say it's strong.
No.
And it does say a wide range of aromatics. So I can smell that farmhouse base brew, but I can also smell the wild character to it.
Mm-hmm. But the aroma should be inviting, not harsh or unpleasant. And I agree.
Yeah.
It's not harsh.
I thought you were going to say this isn't. I thought you were going to say it's harsh. No, to me this is very inviting.
It's very subtle.
All right, so for this one, and even though this can is a little old, actually I think it's about a year old. Yeah, April 26th of last year. It's still, and it's such a low gravity beer.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go pretty high right out of the gate. I'm gonna go 10.
Yeah, I'll do a 10 as well.
Okay. Appearance kind of looks like champagne.
Yeah, it's got a lot of fizz, a lot of head.
Yep.
It's very clear.
Look how like pale that is. Like that's like it's almost like a white than a true gold. I would not call that gold. It's like white gold, you know?
Yeah, I think it's a little more gold there than in person actually, but
yeah,
it's very light.
All right, use my head as a and again, it's still holding the head and it's still pretty well bubbly.
Yep.
Still pretty impressive considering the can is almost a year old, about 11 months old, maybe 10. All right, so let's check the specs on appearance. Variable by base style. Clarity can be variable. Some haze is not a fault. Head retention can be poor. Well, this one's defying all that. It's still clear and it's still holding a head, so...
It's a 3 for me.
Yeah, it's a 3 for me too. Like, this is what I would expect. Like, just going off the appearance alone, yeah, this is what a 2.9% farmhouse ale should look like.
Yeah.
All right, so the best part. Cheers.
Cheers.
I'll let you go first.
So I remember the first time I had this, I thought this is so sour and so funky. And now it's, since we've had the Brett, it's definitely more subtle. A slight sourness there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really not too intense as far as the sourness. To me, and also because it's a light beer in general. It's only 2.9%. To me, it kind of drinks like almost like a. This is probably a bad example, but I was gonna say like a Mike's Hard Lemonade or something like that.
Yeah.
It does, like the tartness and like the acidity from the bacteria, and there might be a little bit of Brett in there.
Yeah.
It is giving a little bit of a like citric acid kind of quality. So to me, it kind of reminds me of like a lemonade, but and also like lemon or citrus tends to be a common component in a lot of farmhouse ales.
Yeah, so it has a kind of a lemonade quality, and it lingers on the tongue. I've noticed, like long after I've swallowed it, it's kind of still there.
Which is impressive considering it's such a light beer. I'm getting the base farmhouse brew on this one. Are you getting like a little bit of like a rusticness? Remember we said like on the aroma it was like crackery. Like I can taste like a crackery kind of maltiness to it.
Yeah. And I think it's actually getting more sour for me the warmer it gets.
I would not call this toasty at all.
No.
And I love that there's a bit of a green apple kind of flavor on there, or it's like almost like if like white grapes or green grapes were sour. Yeah.
So it kind of, it's kind of weird to say, but it has like a little bit of a wine quality to it.
Yeah. Champagne off the body and the effervescence, but also, I don't really know enough about wine, but yeah, like something like in a drier white, obviously.
Like a Pinot.
I'll take your word for it.
Yep. A fizzy Pinot.
How would you describe the actual sourness on this one? So I would say it's fairly low, especially compared to some of Brett's beers.
Yeah. It's very low. Like, this would be a good introductory sour, I think, if you're very sensitive to that sort of thing.
I think it's actually a little bit more tart.
Yeah.
Than it is sour.
Yeah, it's definitely not making me pucker up or anything like that. It's very subtle.
Yeah. This one, I think this is an ideal summer beer.
Yeah.
And it's nice we can get it year round, or at least there's still cans sitting on the shelf at Total Wine. I don't
think we've actually had this one in the summer yet, though.
I know. Hopefully they'll send some fresh ones this summer. But yeah, I can tell already, like why they put this as one of the commercial examples of the style. So, speaking of which, let's bring up those specs. Flavor.
Well,
variable by bleh. That's a lot of B's. Variable by base style.
Yeah, tongue twister.
It should say variable by base brew, like for the full alliteration. Look for an agreeable balance between the base beer and fermentation character. Check.
Yep.
A range of results is possible from fairly high acidity and funk to a subtle, pleasant, harmonious beer. I would not say it's high acidity, but yeah, it's noticeable.
Yeah, it's not high.
Yeah, it does say subtle, pleasant, harmonious. Yeah, I would say all that. The best examples are pleasurable to drink with the esters and phenols complementing the malts or hops. I mean, I don't get hops in this one at all.
None.
But I do get the base, that crackery hop on there. Mm-hmm. And a little bit of the actual saison yeast. The wild character can be prominent, but does not need to be dominating in a style in an otherwise strong malt or hop profile. Acidity should be firm, yet enjoyable. Okay, that's how I would describe it. Firm, but enjoyable. Yeah.
Firm, but enjoyable.
That's what she said.
Do it.
And ranging from clean to complex, but should not be biting or vinegary. Yep, I agree. This is not vinegary at all.
Not at all.
Especially considering the can is almost a year old. Prominent, objectionable, or offensive acetic acid, that's like vinegar. Bitterness tends to be low, especially as sourness increases. Yeah.
Wow.
This one is like right on the money.
I think it nailed it.
I think like they wrote the specs like around this beer. Like,
yeah.
To me, this is almost a 20-point beer.
Mm-hmm.
If it was fresh off the bottling line, that's 20. After a year, I'm giving this 18.
I'll give it a 19. I don't want to give it a perfect score, but it's very close to specs.
Okay. All right, let's talk about mouthfeel, even though we already have.
Light.
Yeah. It's light. It's light as far as like actual weight or viscosity.
Mm-hmm.
But the flavor, I mean, it's like a light flavor, but it's not like Bud Light or something like that, where like as soon as you swallow it, it's gone. Like there is a lingering acidity, a lingering spiciness.
It hangs around, yeah.
Yeah, it's highly carbonated, so it's like
Mm-hmm.
champagne effervescence, but I would say this is refreshing, especially even indoors in the winter instead of outside in the summer. But
right.
Yeah, this is what you want a 2.9% farmhouse ale to drink like. All right, let's check the specs on mouthfeel. Variable by base style. Generally has a light body, almost always lighter than what might be expected from the base style. Okay, yeah, because usually farmhouse ales aren't quite this paper thin. Generally moderate to high carbonation, although often lower and higher alcohol examples. It should say stronger. That messes with your head. Lower and higher.
Yeah, that's a better way to phrase it.
Again, I think they wrote the specs around this beer. To me, that's I'm gonna give that a 5 on mouthfeel.
Yep, perfect score, 5.
Yeah, and again, I could pretty much go 10. I could go 9 or 10. I mean, all right, I'll go 9.
Yeah, my average is a 9.
You go 9.
Yeah.
Yeah, so 45, 46. Yeah, we're both like this is like an A instead of an A plus. I think fresh off the canning line.
Yeah.
In July or whenever they make it. This is an A plus world class example of that mixed fermentation.
I think this is one of the highest ranked ones.
Yeah.
That we've had recently.
Yeah. So do you actually like this now? Because before you were like, I don't like that.
Yeah, the first time I had it, I thought it was very off-putting, and now I've
you're
had
coming
some
around
of the
to it?
funkier beers. This is subtle. This is
Yeah.
so subtle. You can just have this with the cheese and crackers, and like you said, on a summer day. I think
go
it's
for
good.
some cheese and crackers right now. All right, so as always, when we wrap up the class, I always ask Christina, the student, what she learned about this style that she didn't know.
So these are made with fermented bacteria such as sac and lacto.
Well, sac is yeast.
Oh, yeast. I thought it was bacteria.
Lacto and pedio are bacteria.
Okay, they were phrased together.
Sac is Saccharomyces.
It's a low ABV.
Well,
Farmhouse style.
This particular beer is not the style, because I mean you could have a 10% beer like this too. Remember, it said it should be a very, complementing. There should be like an actual base brew style, and then the wild character on top of that.
Yeah.
And actually, that is a really good lead into the style we'll do next week, where all those rules go completely out the window, and you can just go full ham with the Brett and bacteria or whatever specialty character that you have.
Oh, that sounds funky.
Yeah. All right, so thanks to Christina for coming over.
Of course.
And thanks you guys out there for watching, and we'll see you next Tuesday.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Somebody brewed it. Chad just reviewed it. Thanks for watching Chad's beer review. Trust me, the next episode will be a lot better.